You solve 50 lead code problems or maybe even 100. But the moment you open up an unseen problem is when you go completely blank. Hello everybody, welcome back to Tech with Ninad, and today we will be discussing exactly that. I'll be telling you the top 5 mistakes that every beginner makes that I've observed. I'm currently sitting on 620 plus problems, and I'm going to tell you what the mistakes are that I have done or I have observed. So without wasting any more time, let's get into the video. So mistake number 1, not grabbing a pen and a paper. Trust me, I have seen this mistake by every single beginner and including me. Beginners think that LeetCode is simply typing code out, but it is not true at all. You should always, when solving a LeetCode problem, no matter how easy it is, you should always have a pen and paper with you. LeetCode problems correlate directly to mathematics. If I tell you to do a mental calculation, 16 into 17, without using any pen and paper, can you imagine how difficult it is? Yeah, you can do it easily, but it will take you 4 minutes, 5 minutes moving all those numbers in your head. But the moment I give you a paper, you will do it in less than 10 seconds. This is because on paper, you can see what previous operations you have done and you can see what the observations are. Whatever input output that you're given, you write it down, you simulate it, and you will start seeing a pattern. When you're trying to do it mentally, it doesn't work. I've seen beginners directly open up the compiler and start code. If there is an array given, you start simply writing all the code, because once you start writing code and you're building your flow through it, you start realizing observations and you keep changing your code, wasting time. So you should stop doing that. Instead, grab a pen and paper, and what you should do here is in 3 steps. Number 1, write down the observations that you see in the problem. Number 2, write down the required data structure or algorithm that you need. And number 3, using points 1 and 2, implement a pseudocode. If you want a further breakdown on those 3 steps, you can check out my last video where I helped you solve your first LeetCode problem. In it, I exactly told you how to write the observations, identify them, how to choose a data structure, and then how to write a pseudocode on that basis. So these are the 3 steps that you should be following. Visualizing edge cases is much difficult, but when you actually write those cases down, you can find out the underlying pattern in it. And that is why I would definitely recommend you to keep a notebook and pen with you, no matter how easy your problem is. Mistake number 2 is watching the solution too early. This is a very rage bait mistake that I find. I honestly get very angry when I see it. The reason is, this is what I did the most, right? In my first 150 problems, I used to see a solution. If you open a problem, you attempt it for 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and after that, you look at the solution and you attempt it. You have not even solved the problem. Do not count that green dot that you see on the graph as you solve the problem. Be morally correct. You have never even touched the problem if that's the case. The entire point of solving a LeetCode problem is to build a solution, not implement it. You build a solution from scratch and you implement that solution. You don't pick a solution and implement it. If you look at the solution too early, you are not even giving your brain time to think. You're simply presenting it with a solution. So if you're not even straining your brain even a little bit, then there is no way you're ever going to build logic. And then no matter, even if you solve 1000 problems, you will never be crossing even one single problem in a LeetCode contest. And interviews, forget about that. Interviews are long gone if you keep continuing this case. And therefore, I will recommend you to not at all look at solution. Now, there's one question that people ask me is, what if I'm not able to solve the problem at all? I'll tell you this framework. There are 3 types of problems: easy, medium, and hard. Per problem, you give the problem a certain amount of time. If there is an easy problem, you give the problem 15 to 20 minutes. If it's a medium problem, you give it 30 to 40 minutes. If it's a hard problem, you give it 50 minutes to 1 hour. And after this, if you're not able to solve the problem, then don't go looking at the solution in the solutions tab. Instead, go to YouTube. Find a good video that explains the problem by dry running certain cases, dry running certain parts of the problem. This will help you understand how to build logic for that problem, and you will memorize it. Because if you look at the solution, it's plain text, and when you go to the solutions tab, you copy paste it, you're doing nothing, you're simply getting that accepted tab. Check up that problem definition, check up the problem explanation, and then after looking at the explanation, try implementing the approach without looking at the solution, without looking at the code. And if you're not able to do that, then look at the code, understand the new archetype, and then implement it yourself. Mistake number 3, and I've observed it a lot, it is micro cheating. Looking at the solution is straight up cheat. I won't even call it cheating. It's like not even doing LeetCode. But when you're on a LeetCode problem, you're solving it, you can see there are certain tabs like hints and discussions in it. If you're looking at a hint before you even cross the 30-minute threshold, 40-minute threshold, this is micro cheating. You are actively trying to build logic, you're straining your brain to build that logic, but you are using hints, and that stops your brain from building logic. You start relying on external information to build the solution. This will not help your brain recognize and develop patterns. It will not help your brain to build that new algorithm that you want to solve the problem. Micro cheating is very fatal. It looks like something small that you're doing, but instead it's very harmful, because these small bits that you do that help you solve the problem instead help you thrash the logic building part of your brain. You start shutting your brain slowly and steadily against these problems. You start looking at hints even more, and your brain stops to actually brainstorm, rather tries to feed on external information. And when that happens, stop expecting to solve the lead code problem. I'll tell you, problems that are rated above 1700, problems that are 1900, or lead code hards involve that critical thinking. You need to be able to match the pattern quite well when you're writing down everything on your paper or on your whiteboard. You're able to understand what is going on internally. When you have a good amount of practice, you're able to implement your algorithm. But if you rely on something like these small hints or some tips dropped in the discussions tab before even trying your 100% on the problem, you are not letting your brain brainstorm those areas. Eventually, when you are in a live interview and the interviewer is not throwing hints at you, you will fail eventually. But if you solve the problem even without a single hint, they will be damn impressed. Trust me. And this is not just about interviews. Rather, if you're sitting in a lead code contest, there is no hint there as well. So you will never even be able to survive a lead code contest because you're already relying on external information. Mistake 4, the most common: random solving. People have messaged me on my last video and my further last videos as well. People have messaged me on LinkedIn and Instagram as well that, hey, how do we solve problems? What's the process, right? And the mistake that people make is randomly solving the problems. On LeetCode, there are thousands of problems available. I think the current cap stands around 4,000, I guess. Out of 4,000 problems, each problem is based on a different concept. Now, when you're randomly solving a problem as a beginner, you still don't have any idea what dynamic programming is, what graphs are, what is a greedy algorithm. When you don't know all of these topics, there is a very high probability that you pick up a problem which is not even correlating to what you know. Imagine I'm a beginner who has only learned arrays, and you accidentally pick up a problem, let's say rotting oranges. It looks like a 2D matrix problem. Now, I have solved arrays before as a beginner, so I know, okay, it's just a 2D arrays problem, I'll solve it. But internally, it is a graphs problem. Now, you don't realize that. You start wasting time on it for 40, 50, 60 minutes, and then you don't solve it. Then you go check the solution and you realize that it has BFS, which is breadth first search. Now, ultimately, there is a data structure queue that is coming into play, and you don't even have any idea what to do with the queue, how it works. Even though it's simple, you still don't know what it is. As a beginner, it's very frustrating, and that is why I would ask you to not solve any random problems unless you complete your entire data structures and algorithms. You understand every fundamental concept. I don't advise you to go towards these problems. Now the question comes that how do we exactly find out the problems that are correlating to our big data structure? You can use LeetCode 150. This is the list that I followed. LeetCode 150 is a very powerful list, which is a very structured way to traverse every data structure through and throughout. So you can use that list to understand which problems belong to. They're very fundamental problems in the list. And even with that, you can use ChatGPT or Gemini or any AI of your choice and tell them that you need 10 problems based on a certain data structure or algorithm or LeetCode, and to help you to solve these problems. And the AI will give you the exact 10 isolated problems which have no correlating or, let's say, clashing data structures. So the last and the very final mistake is the lack of consistency. Trust me when you say that you're consistent and you're solving LeetCode every 2 days or 3 days, that is not consistency. But you're not consistent. You're simply doing it because you have to. No, you should do it because you want to. Trust me, buddy, if you're doing LeetCode every 3 days, it's not helping you at all. At this point, you should amp up your game. You should have a schedule when you're solving LeetCode. So you should pace your week throughout such that if you're, let's say, a very busy person, you should leave and skip one day, but every 2 days you solve a LeetCode problem. If you're a student, by any means necessary, solve LeetCode every single. Lack of consistency is the biggest issue. Even if you fix the top 4 mistakes that I told you, this mistake will hit you right in your heart. It will take away whatever progress you have made just because you're not consistent. When you're doing LeetCode, your brain keeps training on what you've done before. And if you're not consistent with it, your brain will slowly start forgetting the crucial pattern that you recognized, one thing that clicked to you while the last time you were solving problems. And when your brain starts forgetting what you've done before, it is just that you're moving forward while losing the information backward. In artificial intelligence and machine learning, this is called as the context window exhaustion. And this is exactly what happens with your brain. Your context window starts expiring. But when you're consistent with it, your brain remembers that pattern, that you solved a medium which was based on an easy. So when you're solving the hard problem, it ultimately correlates to that medium problem. It is same like A is equal to B and B is equal to C. Your brain remembers when you do things at certain fixed intervals, and that you're consistent and that you're loyal to your cause. So I hope you understood all the top 5 mistakes that I told you. Please look at the fifth mistake very well: consistency. If you look at the graph right now, I am solving LeetCode every day for 75 days. And this is because I am just addicted to the game now. I'm grinding for LeetCode night. It's really addictive. And once you get addicted to it, there's no stopping. And you will yourself start figuring out your mistakes and you will keep growing. Thank you everybody for watching the video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe the video, share it to your friends, and drop any comments or suggestions if you have. So yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you everybody for watching. Ninad out.